So Gunter, look, yesterday we had this delegation from influential people, entrepreneurs, CEOs coming here on the boat, and everybody was just blown away, right? The experience is something we've never ever heard or seen before. A few hours later, you were on stage at the IDER Gala dinner for the Ubuntu Tribe Global launch, and you started telling the story about how you capture the fish, how the boat runs on hydrogen, solar, wind. This is not even the future, is the after tomorrow, right? And the after tomorrow is here today. So as an African, I'm trying to figure out, and this is the case of so many of my people who see something so advanced like Star Wars type of technology. How do we roll it out in Africa? How do we use it now? What is needed? Because the continent has shown a very unique capacity to adapt, learn, and leapfrog. As you know, we skipped fixed line and went straight to mobile phone, and we pioneered mobile banking, right? Because we didn't have the infrastructure to or the key criteria for the banking to thrive normally. Now we have this unique opportunity, and fishery you see the continent. Its landmass is gigantic, surrounded by the Indian Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, the Mediterranean. So much potential from the fishery industry. But I don't think Africa has benefited the way it should. With that, it's a unique opportunity for our people to embrace technology. But there is one here. How do we roll it out?
First of all, Mamadou, thanks for coming to the boat and be ready to be immersed in this fantasy, because many people still call it a fantasy.
It is.
Until the moment they're in the boat and they realize it's reality.
It's real. It's more than real.
And I very much appreciate a chance to talk to your Ubuntu tribe.
Yes, thank you.
And get them to understand that something else is happening than just the bad news we have on the news every day. So your question is very pertinent. It's not about just accelerating, it's leapfrogging. I mean, just like M-Pesa allowed to really skip the whole banking and go straight from mobile banking into something that is at service of the people.
Yes.
And I know your keen interest is to be of service to the people. You want to have gold that's from 5 cents onwards. So we need to think the same with the boat. Number one problem is there is a lot of desire and there's a lot of positive human energy in Africa. People want to leapfrog. But we need to give the talent the skills to implement. The biggest lacking thing is, do we have the chance to offer the skills? And here is a wonderful opportunity to leapfrog, because there's not one university in the world teaching to the students what we do here. So it's not about enrolling in a university, it's coming to the boat. So the good news is, the boat is coming to Kenitra, Morocco.
Wow.
And we decided in Morocco, because of the leadership as well of Morocco, to look at Africa as the continent.
Yeah.
And we're looking at the leadership in Morocco to really place the boat there. We're going to take off the technologies that are so pioneering and have been working for 4 years. And we are going to create workshops on each of these technologies. How do you make hydrogen from seawater? How do you fish males only with air bubbles, like the dolphins do? Mm-hmm. How do we take nanoplastics out of the sea the way our lungs take CO2 out of our blood? And so we take one technology after the other. And I believe a lot in exposing young people to the opportunity. Now, it's going to take 9 months.
This is
9 months to go through everything that we've learned for the past 12 years on the boat. 9 months will give us the people who know how it works, know how to install, take it apart, repair, and who will have the creative insights to tell us, oh, and we can improve it this way, or in my community, it's that way.
I love it. I love it. And to be frank, you know, on the continent, of course, you're aware of the challenges linked to unemployment and so on. But there is one thing very critical about the young Africans. They have this hustling mentality. You're a de facto entrepreneur to make end meets, right? Both end meets. And when I think of countries like Senegal, like Mauritania, like Morocco, you know, Cameroon, Ivory Coast, who have those three key things, which is sun, sea, and wind, the opportunity is tremendous. And I believe, how does those young people who are hungry, eager, thirsty to learn and to start a business and to create opportunities for themselves, for their family, get involved in that program? Because it's like bringing MIT at their doorstep.
Well, it's bringing Caltech, MIT, and you know, the École Polytechnique Fédérale de Lausanne. It's all of that comes to your doorstep in Africa.
In Africa.
So that is the key. We bring it there. We need young people to invest 9 months of their life. 9 months.
9 months is nothing.
To be able, it's like what you need to have a baby.
Yeah,
you know, come on.
much,
I mean,
yeah.
if you can't do it in 9 months, you're not changing life. So you need 9 months.
Yeah.
It's October 2022 to June 2023 in Kenitra. And there we will not only be able to bring the insights to the technologies, and we will teach, it will be taught by the masters who develop the technologies.
This is fantastic. And as an entrepreneur, when you think of this program, 9 months is just a year study cycle.
It is. And what we think is so key, Mamadou, is that we offer this in priority to young Africans, those from the Maghreb. The region needs to have that sourcing that is brought right to their footsteps.
Yes.
And what we, though, want to do is not just to make them technology experts. We want them to be entrepreneurs. And the entrepreneur means there has to be a business model. If you don't have a business model, you have no business case. And if you have no case, you have no financing, and then what do you do with your skills? Are you just using your skills because now you're happy, you know how to turn seawater into hydrogen? Useless.
But then that's my question, right? Is, you know, is it something like that? Is it affordable? How do they make their money back? Because one would assume that it's like you're buying you know, spacecraft, and although this will give you some significant business, but how does one do the math? I mean,
so if there is a community along the coast of Africa that is fishing with a fishing boat that could be 15, 20, 25 meters, not the huge trawlers that you have from China or from Spain, but those coastal fishing boats. And if you go out twice a month, that means 24 months of going out twice a month. That is 48 times going out. You have paid for this boat as a fishing boat.
Wow.
It means we don't have to think about the capital you invest. You need to know about how do I amortize? What is my OPEX? And you know, the key very often is forgotten by people who look at the capital that is required. How do I earn it back? Now, there are two things. One, the fuel alone could very well pay for this. At $100 a barrel, the fuel alone, without the subsidies, can pay for the boat. But then you need to operate a boat. And what do we know today with fishermen? They come out and they fish of whatever quality it is, comes to shore, and it's marketed. It's sold on the market to the highest bidders, or should I say, to the lowest bidders. Because the fishermen are never well paid, certainly not the African ones. And as a result, what we want to do is we will, since we have an excess energy, we have solar, we have hydrogen, we have the kite power. And we may very well see in the background some kites coming down.
Indeed.
And these are the small versions, but we will have the 30 square meter kites that are generating an enormous amount of power. That means we're taking the energy bill out of the equation.
Wow.
No energy bill.
Yeah.
So if I have an operations and I don't have the energy bill, and today we know that a 24-meter fishing boat will spend $50,000 on filling up the boat with fuel. $50,000.
Unbelievable.
And of course that is subsidized because otherwise there is no fish anymore. But with that money we're overfishing. So what are we seeing, Mamadou, is that we're seeing that there is an opportunity to pay the boats capital investment over time with substituting the petroleum. That's first good news. Second good news, and that's what we're going to teach in Kenitra at this Blue Campus. We're going to teach and share how now you can generate 10 times more. Because we will create the customers just like you with your pioneering work saying, I'm bringing the grams of gold straight to the people on their phone. Well, we're going to bring the fish straight on their phone. And that means that you're going to have a company like Migros in Switzerland, or you're going to have a chain of fish restaurants in Italy or Spain, and they're going to buy the fish straight from the ship.
And this is because you have this huge advantage of being able to process the food straight on the fish.
On the boat. So first of all,
sorry.
the bubbles will bring up the fish.
Yes.
The females are taken out.
Yes.
The males are looked at their right size. The best examples are taken out. And since it's a continuous process, we're only having the best fillets, the most important types. And since we're processing them on the boat, that means all what we don't eat is going to be processed also on the spot. So when the boat arrives, there's no more work.
Yeah.
We will double the amount of people on board. We will generate more jobs. But since we're also having more value, we can afford it and generate the local economy. But the advantage is, we will produce more energy than the boat needs. That energy is for the community. We will generate more water than the fish processing requires. That's for the community. You know, the engine of local development is an abundance of water and power.
Yeah, that's for sure. So then my question is, how do you capture that excess energy that could benefit the communities?
So when the kites are making their loops, and anyone who comes to the Kenitra Blue Campus will learn how to operate kites. I mean, they will all become kite surfers if they want to, but instead of just enjoying the kite surfing, they can actually operate kites. And they will see how it will get automated and with artificial intelligence will run all the time. That power is what we need to bring to the people. So they will have the kites running. So wind power will give energy 24 hours a day. We're turning wind power into base load. And that means we have too much and that will be converted on the spot into hydrogen, as we're doing on the boat. The boat has been doing that now for 4 years. So this is an amazing opportunity because since we know how it works, the boat has offered us a proof of operation.
Definitely.
It's not a proof of concept, it's a proof of operation.
Yeah.
Since we're operating it, we can share with anyone who wants. Now we're going to limit it to 500 people only. Because physically, with the 12 technologies, you will have 30, 40 people per workshop. That's the maximum we can handle. But we will have every single person participating trained by the masters in at least 4 of the technologies.
And how does one register? How does one, because for instance, as a founder of Africa 2.0, we have different social media platform, including one on Facebook that has 100,000 plus followers. We have also engaged with so many young leaders across the continent. And with Ubuntu also, we've been able to have strong presence and impact in an advocacy around wealth creation and I would say more financial freedom. And I really see what you're doing as an exquisite opportunity for young entrepreneurs to access financial freedom based on also skills development, right? Not just the highly speculative and suddenly you have and then you don't have. No, you build from ground up. You learn a skill that so few people in the world have, and you also build a network because you're sharing knowledge and experience with not only the 500 students and entrepreneurs in your cohort, but also with the top global expert. So as you look into that, I suspect there's a natural excitement that will result from this opportunity. Now, if they're interested, what is it that they need to do? How do they?
It's very simple. They go to the website, bluecampus.ch, Switzerland. And the Blue Campus, we want everyone to write a motivation letter. They have to show that they're really full of motivation.
Yes.
I don't care if they have studied before. I don't care if they're 16 or 77. I don't care. I want people who are ready to change the world. And there are many who want to do it, but never get the opportunity to channel that energy. So there is a small registration, but we have committed that if they have the small registration paid and they secure that they find a solution for lodging, then we will get the extra costs from sponsors.
Okay.
So we don't want the financial burden on the individual. There are enough institutions around the world who can co-finance this. And what we want to make certain is that people have the chance to get in, but they need to be motivated. 1. 2, they need to have this clear vision that we have to come together. Ubuntu. I mean, it's me and it's you. I am because you are. And so we are because we all work together.
Exactly.
Because no one can master all 12 technologies that we have on the boat. I mean, master 4, you're already grandmaster. So you automatically need to find your cohorts of 4 or 5 or 6 in order to start operating. So it's the working together.
That's really what it is. So you look for these entrepreneurs who have that are motivated, determined, I would even say, to really be involved, who have the team spirit and this sense of joint collaboration. The age is not an issue, but the background is neither an issue whether they studied or not. So therefore, the question is, you're going to be submerged.
Of course. And we need to be submerged because there is nevertheless something as a natural selection. From there, you'll also get
the quality out of that.
And then therefore, the second thing we offer, we want to have the most eager and the most committed to be there and be with the masters. But then we will organize an online platform as well.
That was my point.
Yes. So we will create the online platform for 10,000 people.
Okay.
And there they can follow like elective courses.
Excellent.
And we're going to work together with community leaders like Idris Aberkan. We're going to be platform creators with different organizations so that there is an opportunity for a modest participation fee to follow the courses. And then, but most important, when the boat is undergone in Kenitra, it's refit, and everyone learned how to do it, then we're sailing to Senegal. When we get to Dakar, we will be organizing a living university on the boat. So those who participated online from Senegal will have the chance to get to the boat and learn from the students who were in Kenitra. And so you create this community that I'm learning from you because you learned from me, and I am learning even more from you now. And the grandmasters actually are just there to guide. They don't become, they're not the teachers anymore. They're not anymore the mualimos anymore. They're actually there to guide. They become the Socrates who will ask the questions to guide you. So that will be done online until 2025.
Okay. So first group 500, the best of the best in terms of commitment, entrepreneurship spirit, team spirit, learning capacity regardless of their background, and with a view to scale.
Yeah.
Right? And so that the industry can flourish and has the skills that are necessary for the industry to actually scale with this new model.
So here comes the industrialization issue. If you now have talent,
Yes.
and you have the skills, and people are ready to go, you need to have the capacity to industrialize.
That was my next point indeed.
So when the ship is refitted, and the ship Porrima, who's the goddess of the future and the protector of the pregnant women, when she is back into the water, we have a full facility with people who have been trained. So we're going to build the first fishing boats right there. We're converting the site into a shipyard, building not just the ships, but the fishing boats that will transform the way we're dealing with our most abundant resource in the world, the seawater, the ecosystems of the coast, our kelps, our fishes, our shells, our oysters, and we will regenerate that ecosystem.
I want to ask you a question. You know, the one thing, and you've been to Senegal, you've been to Mauritania, there is this strong culture of the sea. And you've seen it, you've felt it, those kids on the beach, those, you know, of course you have the basic fisherman with their canoe, if I can call it this way, and then you have and those kids who grow on the beach and see their parents, their dads or their uncles coming back, aspire for the next generation of fishing boat that they can come home and show the community. And I can feel today, I can see them being completely blown away by this. And then the adolescents, the young adults who are at this crossroads as to what they want to do, who may not have or have opportunities, but have that very unique possibility to effectively leapfrog and take their community 3, 4, 5 levels ahead, will certainly be excited by that. You know, as a social entrepreneur and someone who has shared this passion with you about changing the world and make a difference in people's lives, how do you measure success? What will give you peace after this initiative, or at which point of this initiative you'll have this sense of, I'm heading towards what I was hoping to, or I've done what I felt I had to do?
I will not sense the success in numbers.
No, you don't have to.
The success is measured in flourishing communities that find a purpose and that are, again, the magnet of local development. I was in Tarfaya in the south of Morocco. And Tarfaya is the place where Saint-Exupéry spent time, such quality time, that he was inspired to write Le Petit Prince, The Little Prince. That was imagined in Tarfaya, Morocco. And he said, you look at one side and you see the desert called the Sahara. You look at the other side and you see the deserts called the Atlantic. And I'm in this small fringe in between. Well, sometimes those people who lived on the fringe of two deserts are the most creative and most perseverant and can actually ask the questions. So I want people to ask the questions, why not? That's the only thing. And if I have 500 people who are so determined to say, why not? Then I know that we're going to go forward. So we need the why not generation. The can-do generation. And if we have the why not and the can-do, then for the rest, you don't have to plan, you have to facilitate. And this is where you and I play a role. We have to create a framework for financing, and business modeling makes sense. Sense for nature, sense for people and communities, and for the capital investors. But we have one important reference, is that on the little island of El Hierro, in the Canaries, in Spain, we've been able to pursue this for years and years. And we've succeeded in increasing fish stock by factor 4 and 5. Now, what happens when you have fish stock increased by factor 4 and 5? Are you now going to fish more? Or are you going to say, life is good? And we need to come back to the other question that Socrates would ask. How much is enough?
How much is enough, indeed.
And of course, if we're imitating our Western models on how much enough, then there's not enough.
There's not enough.
But if you ask a community that has been struggling with water and food, and where the food security measured in protein of fish is dropping all the time, and the solution that is offered is perhaps a genetically modified salmon farmed in Canada, I mean, this is not quality of life. And so we need to ask ourselves the question, how much is enough? And I'm going to be part of not just the why not and the can do, but I'm going to be part of the generation that says, how much is enough?
How much is enough? I have maybe one or two last questions. Where does your passion for the sea comes from? I'm seeing again, I keep on seeing all this coastal population that I've been exposed to who have this relationship, very unique, and I see it in you to the power of 100. Why does it inspire you so much?
I'm not inspired just by the coasts and communities.
Yeah.
I'm inspired by life. You know, how is it possible that we drain the life out of all these coastal communities? That is where life emerged. I mean, let's not forget that once in Africa, people started to eat seafood. They came out of the savannas, they came to the coast, and they started eating seafood. Our brain grew factor 5. I mean, our brain grew because of the good nutrition of the sea, because of the iodine we finally started having, and our glands were working. And we had such a transformation as a human being, and we emigrated along all the coasts around the world by following the seaweed forests. I mean, we are not walking across land, we were walking across the coast, following the seaweed forests.
Happen, yeah.
And so what I'm looking is, what do we do about regenerating life? And that is why the boat is called Porrima, the goddess of the future in Roman mythology, and she's the goddess who protects the pregnant women. We need to protect nascent life.
And makes a lot of sense. And I have this question. So we, on the continent, when we look at the way the world has developed, we tend to think, okay, are we underdeveloped because we're closer to nature and because we try to emulate it from an ancestral point of view without looking for ultimate progress? And to your point, how much is enough? And at the same time, I come across someone like you whose whole theory is actually based on this very principle that nature teaches us everything. And if we go back to the very fundamental of principles of nature, we then can build the most advanced technologies in the world. That's pretty fascinating. Your own personal environment influences to also the very essence of what is Ubuntu, this very principle of interdependence in all things. Tell us about your journey, because I think as an entrepreneur who is going to come there is this fundamental quest to address that?
So I'm a product of the 70s, not a product of the 60s. So I'm not a hippie. I was not going to hop out of society. I was a new generation of entrepreneurs who said if we're not happy, we better do it better ourselves. And so I'm one of those of the generation of the 70s that was very clear protesting is not good enough. You have the right to protest and share your frustrations, but it's not good enough.
Yeah.
You need to change the world. You need to apply Gandhi's, be the change you want to see.
Exactly.
And so from that spirit out, I had some incredible mentors who said, never join Procter & Gamble, don't join McKinsey. Be yourself, do it yourself. Gonna suffer, but you're gonna be so much happier. And so thanks to the mentors, I focused. And I focused and I became a member of the Club of Rome. And the Club of Rome is this group of 100 people that in the 70s wrote this famous book, Limits to Growth, ?
I remember that.
And by looking at limits to growth, we looked at how is health related to water, water to food, how is food related to land use, how land use is related to pollution, how fertilizer and chemistry related to energy. And so I was continuously seeing that interconnectedness. And I was asking myself, who's now the master? And of course you find some grand people, some great scientists. But the ultimate master is nature.
It's nature.
So Porrima is inspired by nature. And when we say we need to take the nanoplastics out of the sea, then it needs to be done the way nature takes CO2 out of the blood. Because nature's been doing that for hundreds of millions of years, and it seems to work very well. It's ruggedized, it's tested, and it's applied by millions of living critters, billions of living critters, who are all respiring and taking the CO2 out. So come on, let's not reinvent it. So when we then apply that to the opportunity to take nanoplastics, not micro, nano out of, because CO2 is a nano size, and so we're going to take nano out, then you know that inspired by nature. Now, in the beginning you think, oh, I have one great idea. Oh, there is a second good idea. Oh, maybe a third. And then we go to 100, 200 ideas. And we have already converted over the past 25 years over 200 projects that are inspired by nature. And so once you're on the, wow, the dolphins are fishing like this, and we have been fishing with nets for 6,000 years, but the dolphins have been doing it for 1 million years at least. So why don't we do it the way the dolphins do it? And of course they do it with air bubbles. And the inspired by nature is the key. And it's more than just imitating nature. It's also looking at the business model of nature. Because nature, I mean, the dolphins are so smart that they're not going to eat all the fish. I mean, they know they got to leave the females out of there. And when I then see how you have the best Saint-Pierre, the sunfish, this wonderful fish that is off the coast of Mauritania and Senegal. And this beautiful sunfish weighing 500-600 kilograms. She's in her 30s. And we're going to kill her with her 300 million eggs. And I know that not all 300 million eggs will be a baby. But I know that if I'm killing off the mama that has the 300 million eggs, I'm not going to have sustainable fishing in the future. This is the basis of life. So nature doesn't do that. And therefore we need to work the way nature has done it. And we then need to deploy the artificial intelligence, the engineering of microfluids. Because if you don't have the AI and the microfluid technology, you can't imitate the way that fishing is being done by the dolphins. So we need to have the transfer of our grand insight of how nature has done it to our human capacity to see AI will decide on the size of the bubbles. We'll do complex mathematical models to follow the flow of the bubble. We will create the curtain. We need to put it into algorithms. We need that to put into mathematical modeling, complex modeling, but that we can do. And then we can really become the masters of sustainability. Or I call them the astronauts of the sea.
Astronaut of the sea. This is beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank
Very
you.
inspiring. Very inspiring. And let's do this. Let's mobilize. You have my full support, 150%. And it is my responsibility as an African, and it is my role as a human being.
And I expect you there to come and teach Ubuntu.
Count me in.
You come and teach Ubuntu.
Count me in. Count me in. I am because we are. We are because you are.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.